Hello YouTube. Mr. Consistent Videos back here, and I'm going to be opening up SpyderCo BO2 GP2, also known as a SmallFly 2. We're going to take a look at it, and I'm going to tell you my first impressions, some review of it, because I've already opened this before. I just kind of wanted to make it exciting for you. So, without further ado, let's just open this. There it is, unopened and everything. We'll set that aside. Came with a sticker, a guide. Open it up real quick. Specific guide for this knife. Not much to say about that. Typical SpyderCo packaging. I'll talk about when I bought this and how long it took me to get in. So I pre-ordered this on Knife Center November of last year, I want to say. And it got here, what is it? September, I want to say around July, late July. And it has been a treat ever since. It is my go-to butterfly knife. So, whereas I have a Benchmade 42 that I never want to get dirty, I have my Replicant, which is kind of too big to use as a utility knife. This is my utility knife, right? So being my utility knife, this thing is perfect, small. It has a 3 1/3 inch long blade, spring latch, just like that. 3 1/3 inch, perfect size, in my opinion, for a utility knife. Got some information on the blade. Made in Golden, Colorado. No Taipei imported materials, you hope at least. SpyderCo CPM S330. And it has, you can tell how smooth it is just from the sound. Made of great materials. So, just to get into some of the information on this knife. So, actually, you know what? To get into the information on this knife, I'm going to talk about the history. So, the history of this knife started out with the SpyderFly, which came out in 2004, 6 ounces. It was VG10 in 2004, 2005, and onward it was 440C. Then they made the SmallFly, very similar to this. 3.1 ounces, 154 cm. And then you got the SableFly, very rare, very expensive, 2005, 2006, 5.6 ounces, 154 cm, not meant for flipping whatsoever. More of like a attacking knife. It's kind of weird. But 2007 they got in hot water. They found out, because the American government has really cool laws that make a lot of sense. You can't make butterfly knives out of imported materials. And in 2007, they were indicted on making butterfly knives from materials from Taipei, fined a lot of money, and they had to recall everything and stopped making butterfly knives from that point on. So finally, 13 years later, they have made the SmallFly 2. I'll show you a comparison of the two blades. This is, I forgot what they call this blade shape. I'll have it on the screen, but the original one was more of a spear point with a swedge on it, and I think that was gorgeous. If I'm going to review the two, this one doesn't have as nice of a blade profile. Doesn't look as nice, but I think this is better for utility. Another thing that I can kind of complain about a little bit, this pocket clip, actually, it was on this side of the handle, this pocket clip over here. And trying to flip while there's a pocket clip saved handle is a pain in the ass. But since this is super ambidextrous, you can have this on any of these sides. Little indentations, you just unscrew it, pop it in. You gotta flip the screws though. It's kind of weird. But I did that, and now it's on the unsafe handle. Perfect. Another small gripe, and this isn't exactly a gripe, this is just a possible issue that I think might happen. So you see the spring system? It really is just a simple spring that comes and hooks onto the latch and pulls it backwards. There's always tension there. And there's going to be even more tension if you do this. So I try not to store this under tension. I always pop it open and let it sit on my shelf like this. I just see this becoming an issue in a few years or so. And I think it kind of looks a bit sloppy. I think they could have done something nicer. The Benchmade 51 is like, I think, the tour de force of spring latches, where they use the liner to pull the spring back, to be the spring essentially. Other than that, those are my 3 complaints. Doesn't look as nice as the original. Spring looks a little sloppy. And 3 was that the clip was on the wrong side. Or the pocket clip. But let's get into the positives. Blade steel, S30V. One of the best blade steels out there. Kind of hard to sharpen, but it holds its edge and it does not rust easily. It's 3.3 ounces, amazing for throwing in the pocket. Kind of fun to flip around. G10, the G10 is so grippy. It's amazingly grippy, but it's not horribly grippy where it's like a raw titanium handle, for example. If you're sweaty, it's going to be too grippy. If you're dry, it's going to be flying out of your hands. This is just the right amount of grip. Also, the ergonomics of these handles are perfect. So it's like pinky up here, you got your index on here, and then your 2 middle fingers pop right there, and then you can pop your thumb right back here, and it's just it's amazing. It feels great as a utility knife. It fits the hand perfect for a small utility knife. Again, the 3-inch blade is just good for utility, whereas like a replicant's going to be way too big for you, unless you're gutting fish. So let's get into a cutting test, which is unfair because this thing is so damn sharp. If I can get a good cut. There we go. Oh. I think that proves that. And this thing flips quick, very quickly. This is not a flipper, so I'm not going to rate it as if it were a flipper. You can flip it closed and open very quickly, but you're not going to be doing anything crazy. You're not going to be doing any chaplains. The weight's just not there. You're going to be dropping it every time. It also looks really nice in the pocket. That's what it looks like in the pocket. 2 little holes poking out. Little pocket clip. I think it's perfect in the pocket. Flip it out. Undo it. Then you got yourself a knife. So basically, this little thing I'm trying out, I'm going to rate this thing, and I kind of want to rate more butterfly knives after this. But I'm making a scale. Scale is going to be ergonomics, flippability, looks, materials, and finish. So it's going to be 4 different things. Materials and finish are together. Because you could have good materials, but they're put together poorly. You could still have a good looking butterfly knife that falls apart, you know, that whole thing. And it's going to be a scale out of 40. Each bit of that scale is going to give you 10 points. And so what I'm going to do for this butterfly knife, to start off this whole scale, gets a 9 for ergonomics. Beautiful placement for hands. You close it, still comfortable. And just this little quick push, open it up so quickly. And it's so smooth. So ergonomics is a 9. Flippability, sadly, gonna give it a 4. flippability is going to be more for like, you know, flipping it around for cool tricks and whatnot. You are not going to be doing cool tricks with this thing. Of course, that doesn't mean you can't. You can fuck around with it and force some cool tricks out of this thing. Not before you get 20 cuts. So flippability is going to be 4. You're only going to be doing really basic tricks with this thing. This thing looks pretty snazzy, I'd say. But it's going up against its big brother and its little big brother, the SpyderFly and the SmallFly 1, and those spear pointed swedges were just too much to handle. So this thing is going to get a 6 for looks. Looks great, but it could look nicer. And lastly, the materials they use is going to be materials and finishes a 9 out of 10. Everything is perfect. The clip is, from what I can tell, sturdy as hell. One of the best steels out there right now, CPM S30V, great. In 10 years, you look at this video and you'll be like, this guy's a fucking dumbass. Well, yeah, of course, I'm sure they're gonna have a better metal in 10 years. Not right now. This is a pretty good metal for the price. I mean, not exactly because SpyderCo's overpriced, but whatever. But the one point that I deducted is this. The one point I deducted is this, you know, kind of sloppy looking spring latch that is probably going to lose tension after 5 or so years. So I do recommend that you just keep it unlatched. And also, you can't latch it in the closed position, but if you keep that in mind, you're fine. Like, you don't need to latch it in the closed position, right? You can just keep it unlatched, put your hand around it because it's so comfy. And that's for a total score of 28 out of 40. Yeah, peace. Let me know if you guys want any other reviews. I'm going to review the rest of my knives. Probably going to do one review every 4 years, so look to the end of that series in 20 years. Peace.